Good afternoon and welcome to the Kerry Garden Show. Alan Finn checking back in with you again here at Boyles of Killorglin, and I'm in amongst some trees. We've got some interesting fruit trees and stuff to talk about later with Ger, but right now it's time to have a little chat with Trish. So we're back here at the potting shed in Boyles of Killorglin, which can only mean one thing. It's Trish's shed.
How are you, Alan?
Trish?
I'm very good, thank you.
Did you have a nice Easter break?
I did, lovely. Plenty of chocolate Easter eggs, I'm afraid. But anyway.
I don't want to see another one, I really don't.
Has to be done.
Absolutely. Okay, so there was lots of gardening done, I'd say, since our last show, and you've got plenty more tips for people now this week. So
I
what do we got?
have
What do we start with?
daffodils now, obviously a firm favourite of everyone.
Yep.
And they'll be actually finishing flowering now at the moment, and people are wondering, what do I do with them? Don't like them now with all the greenery, need to cut the lawn and tidy up the place. Don't cut them.
Okay.
If you cut them, you'll actually reduce the flowering for them next year.
Following year.
Yeah, for the following year. So now if you've got a few and they're in pots or a few clumps here and there, the trick is you'll see where the top of the flower is, and then you'll see kind of like a ball thing. If you could just get a secateurs or a scissors and just cut them off.
Okay.
Now, if you take that off, that actually stops it from putting all the energy into this, and the energy will go back into the bulb.
Maintaining the plant.
Exactly. So just to go around like that, and that's all you have to do.
Okay.
Now, people sometimes they twist them down and tie them with an elastic band.
Right,
and
why is that?
that brings the juices back down quicker, and they'll die down quicker.
Okay.
But obviously if you've got loads and loads of daffodils, you're not going to go around even doing that or tying them down, but try and let them die down as naturally as possible for as long as possible.
And was that just an old tip that people used to think was helpful for
it was helpful, because if you turn it down, the juices aren't going up into the growth of it, and it's going to go down, and then the leaves will turn yellow and they'll die away that much quicker.
Right.
Now another thing as well is when they're finished flowering, you need to build up the bulb for next year. So
already it's mad.
Yeah, I know.
Thinking about
if you
it already,
do it now, because like it has spent so much energy producing flowers, you want to repay it back. So give it a nice feed of tomato food, or this fish blood and bone meal, which is a dry fertilizer, and you could scatter it around it, and that'll build up the bulb for next year. After that, you don't need to do anything, and just avail of the flowers next year again.
Yeah. Okay. Now more little deadheading. We're talking about heathers this
we're
time.
deadheading a lot now, but winter flowering heathers would be starting to finish flowering now.
Yeah.
Now obviously we'd leave this one flower for another bit, but you can see the way the tips of it are going brown. Eventually all that white flower will all go brown.
Okay.
So people go, do I just do that? No.
No.
You need to go right down to the end of the flowering stem. So you go right down there, and you'd prune it all around. So you could get a hedge clippers to do it. Like sometimes you've got big, huge.
If you've got a lot of big heathers,
just get a hedge clippers and go right across. Now I am cutting good flowers off, but pretend that they're all dead. Yeah. And you'll see even there, you've got lovely new growth coming.
Green.
Yeah, really. And they're the new shoots that are coming. So it's probably no harm to mulch around the plants then. Again, it's like the daffodil. You want to feed it. So mulch around with an ericaceous compost, and that'll do it good then.
I like the way you said it's like thanking them for flowering. You're literally like giving them back.
Well, they give you so much nice flower, and you want to repay them.
But it's a lovely sentiment. I like that. It's nice, and I know how people are so precious about their flowers.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's a nice idea, lovely idea. Okay, I think now some sweet peas. What do we do with some sweet peas?
Sweet peas are so popular. They're great. They'll flower for the summer. They have a fabulous scent on it.
Yeah.
If you had an old oil tank, an old wall, something that you want to disguise.
Will they go anywhere like?
They'll go anywhere. Now they do need the sunshine,
but
they're absolutely fabulous. Plant them this time of the year. You'll get them in pots. Now, there's about 15 seeds are put in this pot.
Okay.
You don't plant them all in one clump. You'd kind of take them out like that. You'd see a nice little root system.
Separate them out.
Separate them out. You'd plant them about maybe 5 to 6 inches apart. Now, with this sweet pea, you do need support for them. They won't climb up this wall on its own. So we have loads of different types of plant supports. There's a little square, it's a little mesh. Chicken wire is another thing that you could use, or bamboo canes. So you could put in the bamboo canes, tie a bit of string, they'll wind themselves around it. But another trick then with the sweet pea, you'll see that's one, right? It's very, very leggy. So if I got that, and after I plant it, pinch out the top of it.
Okay, so it's
that'll actually make it bushier, and it'll produce more side shoots. It's like the climbing rose I was talking about last week. Is that the side shoots will give all the flowers.
Okay.
So you'll get beautiful flowers the whole summer, but the idea is to pick them every now and again, bring them inside in the house, and that'll encourage the sweet pea to flower for longer than over the summer.
But it's important that you do the pinching now.
Exactly.
Because the later on you leave it, it might delay it. It's too late.
Okay. Yeah, so once you plant them, just take the tip out of it and they'll come away then fine.
Okay, super. And they will be all those different colours as well too,
They
Trish?
will. Oh, they're absolutely fabulous. They're beautiful.
Fantastic.
And as I say, even just to bring in a bunch of them into the house, the fragrance will be lovely.
Yeah.
You can plant them into pots or directly into the ground, whichever suits.
And it's type of soil, doesn't matter.
As long as it's not wet.
Wet.
So well drained, sunny site would be perfect for it. Because the sun will bring out the fragrance of the flower that bit better. Another thing as well is your azaleas, camellias, rhododendrons. We'll be talking about them later on in the show. They'll need a bit of a feeding now at the moment. Some people wouldn't have a very acidic soil, meaning there might be a lack of iron in it.
Yeah.
The leaves might be going a little bit yellow. So what you do is you feed them with this time of the year, and that'll green up the leaf for you.
And would the soil have lost a lot of stuff over the years if it's one that's been growing there for a while?
That's exactly it, because like with all the rain that we're getting every winter, it's just leaching out the ground of all nutrients. So it's no harm. Every year, kind of around April, mid-April, apply this.
So it's a very common, obviously, issue.
It is common unless you have a very acidic soil.
Okay.
And you can dilute that down. All the recommendations are on the back of it.
Perfect.
And you can do pots as well. A lot of people put rhododendrons, camellias into pots. That would be ideal as well.
Great. Now, I have seen a few more of them. We did talk about it a few weeks ago.
We did.
But I've seen one inside my back door. I need to get that copper tape you were talking about.
Tape, that's
it's
right.
just
that's
because I'm like,
well.
my wife would freak out whenever she sees it inside the door. But we're going to talk about the plants, never mind coming into my kitchen.
I know, but like all new plants now, they're starting to sprout up. The foliage is just so soft.
Yeah.
The slug is looking and
They're just going, dinner time.
Dinner time, big time. The barbecue is starting. So put down your slug pellets. Now these are organic. They're certified organic. They won't harm the birds or anything like that. So you can scatter these down and that'll sort out the slugs.
Brilliant.
If it rains a lot, maybe reapply them again.
Okay.
But just scatter them around. Don't put it on top of the plant. Just put it around
the base.
Yeah, around the base of it.
And it doesn't matter if you does it matter if you get too close? Are we literally just kind of making circle
around the base
around
of
them?
it, because basically the slugs are going to go in towards the plant unless they're already inside. But try not put it on the foliage or anything like that. Just around the base of the plant.
Okay, super.
We're talking about feeding then as well.
Now, big bucket.
A big bucket. I'll let you lift that, Alan. That's the chicken manure.
So the chicken manure pellets, right, from Westland. Organic as well.
Exactly, organic as well. Now what is that? It's high in nitrogen. This time of the year you want to give a boost to all plants. So anything, again, that mightn't be going on well, or hedging, laurel hedging just loves loads of feed. That would be excellent for it. All trees, shrubs, anything. It's about 4 ounces per square yard, or if plants don't need that much, about 3 ounces per square yard. And that's excellent to put on now this time of the year.
Yeah, and again, all the instructions and measurements, everything's on the back and
everything's
stuff.
on them. It's the same with anything, whether it's tomato food, slug pellets. Always read the back of it.
Always read the back, because we don't want to overfeed, and as well, especially with the fact that you said there was nitrogen in that.
Exactly.
Don't want to do it.
No, you don't want to overdo it. You just want to boost on the plant.
Boost on the plant. Brilliant. Great stuff. All right, well, that's some more great tips from Trish. Now we'll time to head over to Ger and see what he's got for us this week. Okay, so now we're over here with Ger, and you know what, Ger? I'm feeling kind of small amongst all these climbers. How are we doing?
We're good, Alan. We're good.
They're going to be part of your slot today, and we'll get to them in just a moment. But we are going to talk about some climbers this week. Isn't it?
So the whole show is nearly on climbers. We'll have our plant of the week again, and we'll have a little bit of our little bit of colour as well.
Little bit of floral colour there as well. So what are we going to start with, Ger?
So we'll start with the climbers. We'll start with the big ones there behind you.
Are we talking about the beasts here beside me?
So like we've a good selection of climbers in at the moment, and the ones that are standing beside you there, I'd say there must be about 6.5 to 7 foot tall. The one in your hand there is a Lonicera, which is a honeysuckle. It's a fabulous flowering one, and it's heavily scented as well. There's a bit of peach, there's a bit of pink coming through the flower. It is a really nice one.
It looks absolutely stunning, Ger. And like at the moment, obviously, it's just
coming into leaf now
at the moment. So at what stage of the kind of summer would we be talking about coming into flower?
You'll be looking at kind of late summer. So you'll be looking at July. You'll be looking July into August, September for flowering.
Okay. Is that just with the honeysuckle, or would that be with most of these climbers?
The wisteria will be earlier, and the jasmine will be a little bit earlier as well. You'll be looking at May, June for the jasmine. Just with care for your climbers. Like most of the climbers that we have, would need a support. So you'd be looking at an arch or some wires to support them up. With the honeysuckle there behind you, because if you look at the stem there, there's about 10 to 12 different stems coming up.
There's a lot of them kind of knotted, and they're very kind of bamboo-esque.
Yeah, so when you get that onto the trellis, you kind of plant it at kind of an angle into the trellis, so it's kind of grabbing onto something. At the start then you'd want a bit of string, and you'd want to be pulling different branches different ways, so it's not growing
for all intents and purposes. You're guiding it.
You're guiding it
in a way to go. So so let's go back to when you're planting. So you're talking about at an angle into, say, a trellis or an arch.
That's onto let's say the trellis is onto the wall.
Yeah.
And literally from the bottom, then you pull maybe 1 or 2 stems this way.
Okay.
Start literally just tying it to make its way left and right, and eventually it'll just start intertwining across the trellis over time. And that goes for the likes of the jasmine and the clematis. You'd want good support. With the wisteria, I always find that kind of a gazebo, or if you had an arch, that they're nicer to go up over an arch, because the flower kind of overhangs.
Does it drop down?
It does drop down.
Beautiful.
So
and it's a beautiful purple flower as well.
It is stunning. Like in old kind of manor kind of type houses, you'd see them coming up over the door, and they'd be just kind of falling. The flower fall kind of nearly head height as you're going through the.
And for that, would they work against a wall if you kind of maybe put some sort of wire or mesh on it?
Yeah,
is that another way people would use it?
So you can get let's say if it's going onto a wall, you can get the concrete nails, and maybe you'd attach your wire to the nail. You'd hook it around, and you bring it to the other hook, and you'd hook it around again. I would recommend kind of doing it maybe 2 foot high, 4 foot high, 6 foot high, and for however high you want it to grow. So if you want to grow 10 feet high, you keep bringing your wires up, so it has something to grab onto.
And that will be out of the pot?
Yeah, so you can either put it into the ground. With the likes of the wisteria, they like a well-drained soil.
Okay.
So if they're in wet soil at all, they're not going to do. They have to be in a dry soil. The honeysuckle will take most soil types.
Okay.
And with the clematis then, we have a lovely one in at the moment. We have the purple president, and we have the Montana as well. The Montana is stunning when it comes into flower.
Okay.
Lovely
what colour
pink.
is the Montana? Pink,
I think I have it there. It's a lovely pink with a kind of a yellowy centre.
Lovely.
They're quite, and they're very, very vigorous. If you want something to take over something very quickly, they're the one to get.
Okay.
Also in stock at the moment, we have loads of climbing roses. Again, they're brilliant for going over an arch. It's lovely to have a rose arch in the one colour. You could plant one either side, and they are fabulous to look at. And just behind us there, you can see we've loads of arches in stock as well at the moment.
Absolutely great, beautiful. Okay, so that's a lot of the climbers out of the way, and you have, of course, there's a smaller version of the jasmine there, which is good.
Like we have all the bigger versions that are in around the 6 foot, but we also have the smaller ones that are.
And is this just at a different stage? Would this be
they'll be a couple of years older? Yeah.
So you can just start off with the
you can start off with
ones.
the smaller ones, yeah. So like the star jasmine there, the perfume off these is amazing.
Wow.
Really, really nice. If you're like, I can remember walking down a street in Nice a couple of years ago, and I could smell it before I
knew what was coming.
I knew what was coming. But they're just. The smell, it just catches you straight away.
Wow.
Maybe later on in the summer, if we have one, we'll do another little bit on it.
Okay, brilliant.
I suppose we're coming to that time of the year now where everyone wants a colour. I know last week we said hold off on the summer colour, but there is a few different bits and pieces you can be putting into your pot. The likes of the osteospermums here, they're like a daisy flower. They come in purples, pinks, yellows. They are really nice, and these will flower right up till October.
Okay. So are these a bit like what we talked about there 2 weeks ago, where they kind of regenerate? They'll keep flowering.
They'll keep flowering.
Oh, they're brilliant.
Yeah, and again, I know we say it a lot. It's once you keep deadheading,
as long as you keep deadheading,
they keep coming and coming.
Yeah, it's like we
I'll
can
just take one out there now, just so people on the Facebook can see it. The likes of this one, that's a spin flower.
Yeah.
When you're pinching it, you bring it right down into the plant. Just give it a little
twist
and
pull.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
And give it a good feed of tomato food in once a month.
And you can see all the different floral buds that are there just waiting to burst out. So it's lovely colour, like purples, pinks and yellows.
This one here, there's 10 buds there ready to come. And you can see the buds developing down into the plant as well.
And further down, fantastic.
So they'll keep going, they'll keep rewarding you right up till October.
Yeah.
Provided we get the weather.
The weather for it.
And I suppose our plant of the week then for this week is the azalea.
Wow.
These, like, they're just starting to burst into colour.
Yeah.
Again, these come in pinks, reds, whites. We have the deciduous azaleas as well, and we have them in oranges and whites, and we have a couple of pinks left as well.
And deciduous, for those who don't.
So
familiar with
deciduous
it?
means they lose their leaf for the winter.
They'll lose their leaf.
Yeah. So
okay.
actually, I should have brought one up. The azalea, the deciduous azaleas, they flower without the leaf.
Okay, so it's all flower, no leaf?
All flower, no leaf.
Wow.
And then, once the flower finishes, they do come into leaf.
Okay.
But they are quite, they're
But
very
that's a beautiful one there, Ger. Like,
yeah,
it really
so
is
they're
a lovely,
that's
lovely
the
red.
Azalea japonica, but they are stunning. They like an acid soil, and again, they're ideal for pots.
And I'm holding in my hand now, for everyone who's watching on Facebook, you'll see it, but those who are listening, a rhododendron as well.
Yeah, so
so that's another.
We've got a massive selection of rhododendrons as well, and they're just about to start popping a bit of colour
Just
as
about
well.
to burst, you can see it.
They're full of bud, and again, we have them in different sizes. We have them 4 foot down to the plant that you have in your hand there, which would be about 1.5 foot.
And colours?
Pinks, whites,
You name
purples, blues, and just for our listeners, they're cultivated rhododendrons. They're not like the wild rhododendron you see in the national park and across Kerry.
Yes,
they're
the ones that we're warned about.
Yeah, they're not going to spread mad.
Yeah.
The varieties that we have here, we have the dwarf right up to 4 to 5 foot high. That'll be their max height.
Excellent. Right, so whether it's 6 foot climbers you're looking for or little small ones and the beautiful flowers, we have them all here.
Yeah, like if you come into the garden centre at the moment, it is packed. There's a bit of something for everyone. Like if you're looking for a fire pit, if you're looking for water features, the place is looking amazing.
Excellent, brilliant. Right. Well, listen, Ger, thanks very much, and obviously with the lifting of the restrictions will also make hopefully a big difference, and you'll have hopefully a lot more people coming into the garden show who might not have been able to. Thanks a million again for all the great tips. Thanks very much for you for listening. Remember, again, you will catch us on Facebook, and you'll be able to watch us all back and see all the beautiful colour that we're bringing you here on the garden show. So for myself, Trish and Ger and everyone here at Boyles, talk to you again next week. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan.